What's up, Singapore? I am Fazrul Nawas. I am play for the national football team. For all your football news, stay tuned to SportsZone on 938 Live.
From 938 Live.
This is Formula One driver Fernando Alonso.
Hi Singapore, I'm Jürgen Klinsmann.
Hi, I'm Martin Tyler.
This is Annika Sorensen.
Hi Singapore, this is Johnny Wilson. You're locked on to the best in sports. Cheers.
You're listening to SportsZone on 938 Live. A good Saturday to you and welcome to SportsZone right here on 938 Live. I'm Noor Farhan, flying solo today as I'll be taking you through the hour with a truly interesting sport this week. Now, they've never come onto our show before and today marks their first appearance here since 7 years ago. Now, so let's stretch, split, backflip and somersaults with our graceful guests from Singapore Gymnastics. Now, with us in the studio today are female gymnasts Lim Him Wei, Daphne Chia, and together with their male teammate Ho Wah Toon. And they're joined by Vice President of Singapore Gymnastics Lee Hong Chuan. Now, welcome to the show, guys. Let's get swinging with you first. Him Wei, now you're one of the Republic's well-known gymnasts. Now, you've got medals of all colours at the SEA Games, the Commonwealth Silver, and you're also an Olympian. But before we get into that, do tell us, why does the sport have a special place in your heart?
This sport has been through thick and thin, ups and downs with me. So through gymnastics, I found my passion, drive and direction of how I wanted to lead my life and what I wanted to achieve from a young age. It has taught me personal values and given me multiple chances to gain priceless experiences. It has also given me the opportunity to meet some of the most amazing people in my life. When a sport like gymnastics takes up more than half my life, it becomes my identity and definitely played a significant part in shaping who I am today.
You mentioned it took up half your life? Literally?
More than half my life.
Wow, that's pretty nice. Now, you of course started off gymnastics when you were 7. Now, surely there was something that influenced you to take up this calling as a child? Because even for me, the nearest I ever got to gymnastics was jumping on my parents' bed when I was 7 and getting a thorough scolding afterwards. But how was it like for you?
It was actually a random day when the teacher in charge of the gymnastics CCA casually asked if I would like to join gymnastics. So at that time, I haven't had any idea what the sport was all about. And my parents knew that all that they needed was somewhere to place a hyperactive me in a CCA that could zap some of my energy.
Must have been like a bouncing ball of energy back then, huh?
Pretty much.
Well, I've been watching some gymnastics videos, and whenever I see you guys bouncing around, I'm like, wow, that's really some talent right there. So is it true that all gymnasts learn their first handstand even before they learn how to crawl or walk or even talk? What is it like?
Maybe or possibly for gymnasts in some countries where they pick up the sport at an age you cannot imagine, like 3 years old or something. But since I only started gymnastics when I was 7, I think this saying definitely doesn't apply to me.
Well, definitely was it the case for you? I mean, did you do a handstand before you learn how to eat? Maybe?
No, because I started gymnastics at a relatively later age of 9, so this also doesn't apply to me.
No trampoline on your parents' bed as well?
I was also quite a hyperactive kid, and my parents said that I used to run around a lot and was quite restless. So, yeah, I think that was one good way to expend all my extra energy as a child.
Well, you're in rhythmic gymnastics,
That's
right? Which is a floor discipline. Would it be accurate then to describe your speciality as a combination of ballet, dance, apparatus manipulation, in addition to gymnastics itself? How do you best describe it?
Yeah, that is actually a quite good description of rhythmic gymnastics in general. I think rhythmic gymnastics is a performance sport which combines artistry, musicality, and the physical ability to execute complex moves and apparatus handling. So there are many styles which a routine can take, from traditional folk dance to ballet, tango, and sometimes even hip-hop.
Well, the ball, the hoop, the ribbon, and the club. Now, if you could take any one of your apparatuses into an upcoming competition, what would it be?
Actually, all rhythmic gymnasts have to do all 4 apparatus because the fundamental basics of each apparatus is the same. The fundamental basics of each routine is the same. But for me, my favorite routine is my ball routine because it is set to the music You Haven't Seen the Last of Me by Cher. So this routine really speaks to my heart because the lyrics is about overcoming obstacles and setbacks despite having troubles and difficulties. And this is something that I think I've gone through a lot during my earlier years as a gymnast.
Well, the 4 items, if you could bring it to a deserted island to pass the time, what would it be?
Probably the clubs, because I think the clubs has the best potential to have other purposes in order to survive on the island.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Now, next up is a gymnast you can go to if you have a toothache. And nice to have you here, Dr. Ho Watun. Is that right? Because since you recently graduated from NUS Dentistry in June.
Yeah.
Now, Watun, among all the medals in the room that has been won here, yours is the freshest, I'm sure, since it's like probably right out of the blacksmith's oven in Glasgow. You won bronze in the men's vault in the recently concluded Commonwealth Games. How was that? How's the feeling of winning bronze for Singapore?
The feeling's amazing, definitely. I always dreamed of winning an international medal since young, so this was really fulfilling dream. Yeah, I never really considered it though from the start. I was just going there to do my best, so things turned out really well.
That's how most good things turn out, doesn't it? I mean, no expectations. You go in there, doing your best, enjoying it, and that's how you achieve.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you took a bite out of the medal at some point. I think I saw a picture of you like chewing the medal. I'm not sure if it's good teeth-wise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
How does a bronze medal taste like?
I didn't dare taste it. But the reason why it was in my mouth was because my hands were full with I was holding the flag. So we had to show the medal. So it was in my mouth.
Yeah, spoken like a true dentistry student. Now, I guess the main question for you is, how did you manage to squeeze in all that training in addition to studying for your course? Because I got friends in the medical faculty in NUS, and it's a really intensive and studious sort of like subject to study, isn't it?
Yeah, we start school at about 8 and then we end about 5:30. So I head down to the gym after that. Yeah, and I stay till about 10. Yeah, and then I go back and sleep. And then I start the day again the next day, same. It's on repeat, yeah.
Pretty systematic schedule you have there.
Yeah.
Now, and lastly, Hong Chuan, you're like that guardian angel, making sure that your gymnasts are all taken care of. As Vice President, what is your proudest moment serving the boys and girls in gymnastics?
No, in fact, the proudest moment I remember was we started very hard, since 2001, and 2003 was the first time that we brought the silver medals, team medals for the nation, where everybody started awareing of what gymnastics is all about. And subsequently, we continue to improve the programs to give to have these national programs that we established for men artistic, women artistic, and rhythmic gymnastics. And I think from the result that we have, I think we have brought more medals along the way, and we are continue to improve.
All right, you're listening to SportsZone on 928 Live, and today we turn the focus on our local gymnasts. And if you've just joined us, with us on the show are female gymnasts Lim Him Wei and Daphne Chia, together with their male teammate Ho Wah Tun. And they're joined by Vice President of Singapore Gymnastics, Lee Hong Chuan. Now, Hong Chuan, you were a former gymnast yourself, isn't that right?
Yep, I started gymnastics since 1983, so probably you can guess how old I am right now.
Yeah, you're a pioneer in a sense. Yeah, and you've also instituted quite a few changes as a board member, as a vice president. Could you take us through that?
Yep, definitely. I mean, we have actually changed their training hours. We know that in the whole world, everybody is training around 24 to 30 hours. So we are also trying to match what the world has been doing it, so that at least to bring our gymnasts to a higher level that they're supposed to do. So now I'm glad to say that most of our gymnasts, our parents, and our fraternity judges, everybody is aware that that is the kind of hours and the fundamental hours that you have to put in. Yeah. And on top of that, we also emphasize a lot on fundamental, as you can you heard from Daphne. She mentioned a lot of fundamentals that we need to be do well. So we emphasize a lot on that and make sure that all the basics are done well during their young time, so that when they reach a certain level, they are able to pick up the higher level skills as high as possible.
All right, now Himwei, earlier we were talking about your love for gymnastics. You train 4 to 5 hours per day, 6 times a week, but you also have to study as well, right? You're from NUS Business, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
And have you graduated, or was it madness? I mean, you have to study, you have to balance everything, schedule your friends and all that.
Yeah, I graduate at the end of the year. So yeah, definitely juggling is it's like a juggling act for me, and for Daphne, I believe for Daphne and Toon as well. I must say the business school has definitely been kinder to me compared to Watun's dentistry schedule. But it's also quite a challenge for me, and as I prefer not to be given deadline extensions, it's especially tough when I have to submit my assignments while I'm overseas. So sometimes it comes to a point where I question myself, why do I torture myself this way? But of course, I have been very fortunate to have NUS Business School support in my sporting commitments, and without the help of the BBA office and my tutors and my course mates who have put up with my occasional disappearances when I travel, I wouldn't be able to commit to such a schedule.
Well, definitely you heard her. I mean, you also heard how Watun's schedule is like. Is it the same for you as well? You are, of course, from Raffles Institution. You're still a student there now.
It was definitely a very busy year for all of us, especially since I have A-levels coming up this year. But I think all of us are quite used to this kind of schedule, as we've been going through training 6 times a week since we were like juniors. Training was more intensive, especially during the June holidays, but fortunately for me, all my schoolmates and my teachers were very supportive and understanding and helped me to take notes and gave me additional consultations. So I managed to get through all of the training and busy schoolwork as well.
Especially this year, you've got like Commonwealth Games, the upcoming Asian Games as well. It must have been madness.
Yeah, definitely was.
Well, Hong Chuan, I can't help but notice how well-read and accomplished our gymnasts today are in terms of their academics. Is it a prerequisite for them to be from top schools?
Certainly not.
Only then they can be from the national team? Oh, okay.
Certainly not. If you look at Singapore Gymnastics vision, gymnastics for all, enjoyment and excellent. So it's a sports for everyone, regardless of whether you are academic inclined or not. As long as you have the passion to it, we welcome you and we want you.
Well, I can't help but notice your passion in your voice when it comes to Singapore Gymnastics. I'm sure it must be taking up quite a bit of your time as well. In terms of family time?
I thought it's almost like, taking out my full-time job. There was a joking, from my colleagues were saying that it seems like your full-time job is gymnastics and your part-time job is, the actual work that you're doing right now. so it take out pretty time.
So it's like your second wife, I mean, is it safe to say that?
I probably can't say that in there.
Okay. On that note, there's like almost no time for romantic relationships as well. I don't know, Hong Chuan, what's the policy here for gymnasts? Are they allowed to like date each other? I mean, of course, you saw how badminton is with Vanessa Neal and Derek Wong, but are they allowed to see each other?
We definitely don't have such a program in our association.
Of course.
But however, no, we don't really stop if there's any of such case, and we don't really encourage. But until now, I don't really heard of any of such case.
Okay.
I'll just let nature take the course.
Yeah.
But I also wish that they know each other. They grow well together and bring gymnastics to another level.
Right. Definitely. Do you have any crush on any of your fellow gymnasts? I don't know.
Rhythmic gymnasts actually don't associate as much with the artistic gymnasts because we don't train at the same place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like separate training schedules for you guys?
We have separate training venues.
Okay, yeah. You have to segregate them, yeah. That's probably the idea behind that. Well, our show isn't dating zone, but so let's get back to our sporting topics, shall we? Now, Himwe, I would say it's been a relatively low-key past 2 years for you, isn't it, since the Olympics in 2012. Would you say that it has been a bit uneventful in terms of competition?
Not so much of the competition, but it's more like my circumstances, given my circumstances, such as making a comeback after a 6-month break after the Olympics. And, age plays a part in because I'm a pretty mature athlete in my sport.
You're just 25.
But in gymnastics I topped the charts for being the oldest gymnast in the women's event at the Commonwealth Games. And on top of that, managing injuries as well as a few other personal matters. Yeah, so I would say I've given it my all, which is enough not to live in regret. And I definitely did not regret making the decision to come back to prepare for the Commonwealth Games and subsequently the Asian Games next month. So I think I have been successful in maturing as a person. And of course, there was a slight disappointment when I didn't qualify for my pet event, the balance beam at the Commonwealth Games, but that's sports, so I take it in my stride. But I think out of everything, for the Commonwealth Games, it was an honor and a bonus to have been the flag bearer as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Now you're 25, of course. You celebrated your quarter century. That's quite a landmark in April. Is there any achievements that you look back at in the past that brings like really fond memories in gymnastics?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been through many years, and as what Mr. Lee said earlier, the first silver medal that we bagged home in Vietnam in 2003, I think that was the turning point in Singapore gymnastics, and I'm glad to have been part of that team.
Now, you're 25, but surely retirement is not in the works, right? You said you're a mature athlete, but I'm sure in gymnastics, they compete until they're like 40. I'm sure there's one, right?
One in many.
Okay.
She is an exceptional. It's crazy. I mean,
okay.
I haven't. She's so far the only one who is at 40 doing competitive gymnastics. Yeah. So I hope I don't get there. At 40, I think I want my life. Yeah. So I haven't really thought about what's going to happen next year or the year after. I'm just focused on next month's Asian Games. So I would say that my peak age was possibly between 14 and 17 years old, and probably so for most female artistic gymnasts. Though there have been increasingly more gymnasts training into their 20s, but it's still a challenge to retain these gymnasts throughout the world.
Well, Watun, similar question for you since you also reached the quarter century mark. I'm sure there's like a big party to celebrate that. What about retirement? Surely for a male gymnast, the age is a bit younger, right? I mean, as we age, as guys, I'm sure we've become less flexible and so on.
Yeah, actually, like Kim Wei, I'm just taking it one step at a time. Focus right now on Asian Games next month. As for the future, I'm not really sure how it plays out because I have to juggle work and training. And like Mr. Lee said, if we want to compete at high-level competitions, the number of hours we put in is also very crucial. If we want to compete against other international athletes, so that will be something I need to look into.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Daphne, I'm sure you see how some of your seniors how they responded to their age question. But are you ready to like step up and be the next face of gymnastics perhaps in the next few years or so?
I'll definitely try to follow the footsteps of my seniors. As rhythmic gymnastics is like a relatively younger sport in Singapore compared to men artistic. Inspiration from seniors like Him Wei and Dr. Ho here has showed me that it's possible for Singaporean gymnasts to do well in gymnastics internationally, and they have definitely inspired me to work harder and to strive to make rhythmic gymnastics in Singapore even better.
Yeah, I like how you said Dr. Ho, very formal.
We like to call him that.
Well, before we go to the news and traffic, Hong Chan, very quickly, how does gymnastics find their young talent?
Okay, in fact, what we do is for the association, we have this 1, 2, 3 process that I always say. It's a selection trial, where it's a 1-day selection trial followed by a 2 weeks, followed by a 3 months. So subsequently, they went through all these phases. If they are identified to be one of the potential and talent gymnasts, we will continue to beef them up. Else, we tell them never be disappointed. You can always still train in your school, train in your club, and we will do the selection trial in all years round. We will continue that process, for all gymnasts. Yeah.
All right, then on that note, we're going for news and traffic. But when we come back, more on Singapore gymnastics with our guests in the studio. Time now for Traffic Watch.
Hi, I'm Abissad, the former Singapore Lions player, and you're listening to 938 Live.
Welcome back to part 2 of SportsZone on 938 Live. I'm Noor Farhan, talking about the local gymnastics scene with our guests in the studio. With us on the show this week are female gymnasts Lim Him Wei and Daphne Chia, together with their male teammate Ho Wah Toon. And they're joined by Vice President of Singapore Gymnastics, Lee Hong Chuang. Now, in the first half of the show, we showcased the individuals. And now, let's talk about gymnastics as a sport. Now, Watun, let's begin with you. You're a men's vault medalist. Do share with our listeners what your discipline is all about. Now, a simple YouTube search will show a gymnast sprinting towards a platform and then performing somersaults, combinations of it. And then there's the landing as well. Now, was that a good summary or did I miss out anything?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. There's only about 7 seconds per vault, so there's nothing much you can describe about it.
But how you guys are graded? I mean, a mistake is a deduction of a point or something like that?
So there's a difficulty score and then there's an execution score which starts at 10. So depending on how you execute the vault, they deduct marks from there. So like a big fault will be a 1 mark deduction, and a small and medium will be like 0.3 and 0.5.
Oh, so that's where the decimal point deductions are, right?
Yeah.
Now, in your field, there are the Russians, the Asians, the Europeans, and the Americans. Now, which of these are the powerhouses in men's vault? I would imagine that Asian countries would perform really well since they are small built, right?
Yeah. The current world and Olympic champion is from South Korea, so he'll be there at Asian Games next month. But generally, China, Japan, Russia, and the UK are dominant in all the events in gymnastics. So, yeah.
Well, Hong Chan, perhaps you'd like to chime in on the local scene with regard to men's vault. Do we have a lot of local gymnasts to choose from this field?
In fact, for all the men gymnasts, they train all the 6 separators. But to share that, at the moment, that at least 3 of them have this pack event in this vault. So in Commonwealth game, out of the 3 of them, 2 actually went into the final. Final is actually comprised with only the top 8 from the Commonwealth game, where there are about 60 over gymnasts competing among themselves. I'm glad to say that in top 8, Hua Tun got a bronze, and the other athletes, Isaac, got a number 6 in position. So it's a big achievement for us.
All right, yeah. And definitely similar question for you. How would you best describe the rhythmic gymnastics routines? Is it as easy as it looks, especially in the gymnastics element?
It's definitely not as easy as it looks, but then a good gymnast will make every routine look elegant and effortless. So for rhythmic gymnastics, each routine is composed of 9 elements.
9 elements?
Yeah, 9 elements. These elements can be like jumps, balances and pivots. So other than the 9 difficulty elements, we also do dance sequences and apparatus handling. So the difficulty score is also composed from the difficulty of each of the elements which we do. And we also have an execution score out of 10, where things like dropping the apparatus or not being in sync with the music would cause us deductions. So total, we have a score out of 20 points.
Well, it's a really intense sort of sport, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's very specific. One small error and there goes your medal chances.
That's right. During a competition, it's very much a mental competition on who can execute the moves that they can do to the best of their ability.
And you have to sync your moves to the music, or
yep,
how
definitely.
is it like? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what are the little things that the judges are looking out for when judging for perhaps like the gold medal, or maybe the difference between silver and bronze? Is there a distinction between the way they judge?
For gymnasts of like similar difficulty, what's most important is the routine that you do must be clean, with like without dropping the apparatus and with your difficulty and moves well executed. And you should contain like difficult and original elements that are eye-catching, so that it's also entertaining to watch as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Now, Hong Chan, is the rhythmic gymnastics popular with the youth? Since there's like there's music, there's dance. How are we doing as a discipline? Are there a lot of talents to choose from?
No, certainly I think over the years, rhythmic has increased in terms of the number of members that we have, in gymnastics, in rhythmic gymnastics. And we can see more clubs are doing rhythmic gymnastics now. So I think it has a bright future, so probably we'll look forward to it.
Now you mentioned clubs, local clubs. So that's how the scene is like for choosing talents for the national squad. There's a club scene and perhaps a local tournament as well. There
are actually club scenes. There are also school scenes. So we have our national championship, our Singapore Open, where we actually spot some talents. Then through our selection trial, which I mentioned earlier, from there we actually pick up the young talents and continue to beef them up to the next level.
And this is across all, for men's vault, beat rhythmic, and so on.
Yes, we apply the same methodology for all the discipline.
Okay, now, Himwe, there's the balance beam and the uneven bars. Now, I didn't get to watch your Commonwealth performance or live on TV, but I did watch the Malaysian team in action. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, the balance beam is where you start by standing up on a narrow horizontal bar and then performing some gymnastics on it without falling off the bar itself. Is that accurate?
The balance, more accurately, the balance beam is a 10 cm flat horizontal beam, so not so much of a bar. Like it's more of like a platform, so it's a flat surface.
More like an edge. 10 cm. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because your feet is only like so wide.
Yeah,
and then
you can't fit both feet together like side by side on the like completely. On the beam, it would be sticking out a little bit on the sides. So
okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine you have to be like, you cannot be fat because I'm fat. Of course, I probably can't do whatever you guys are doing. So you have to be small size as well. That's how it's like for different people.
Well, I think for specifically for beam, it helps that you are probably more petite or shorter because of center of gravity. So it helps you be grounded a bit more than versus someone who is probably taller than you or.
In that respect, I imagine Asians would be excelling in this field, right? I mean, because we are all smaller as compared to the Caucasians who are competing. So who are the powerhouses?
China would be one powerhouse especially for the balance beam. They have superb technical competencies and form. So, but of course, there are other countries in the West that are also good, and they have to they plan their routine slightly differently. So you plan your routines according to your advantage. So if you are more powerful, you have bigger skills, you throw in bigger skills and to get the difficulty. But if you are Asian and you are lanky, you have a smaller body type, maybe you want to go for something more graceful and maybe more jumps and leaps.
So you have to tailor it to whichever strength you are good.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, what about the uneven bars then? 2 different high bars you have to jump and mount. And you also swing up and around them. Is that how it's done?
Yep, you're spot on that.
Now, I imagine you'll need strong core muscles to perform those somersaults and all that. In addition to a good sense of balance and an iron grip as well. So how do you train your grip?
Okay. So generally for for uneven bars, it's very technical, and so technical competencies, core and upper body strength, coupled with a good sense of rhythm, is paramount for the uneven bars event. So like grip strength and all, it's just through really consistent strength and conditioning exercises. Yeah.
Well, share with us about the grip specifically, because I'm sure some guys are tuning in. They want to improve their pull-ups, even though it's not part of the IPPT anymore. I'm sure there's some tips you can share, perhaps, if you want to improve your calisthenics abilities, perhaps.
For us, we work on the bar like a few hours a day, and by then we're so used to being on the bar and hanging on the bar for such long periods that it becomes natural. So you just build up from maybe from a minute, you gradually increase. So it's just training up like any other parts of your body. So you just have to have a systematic, consistent training regime.
So there's no weights training involved, right? I imagine it's all body weight specializations. I mean, it's just your own pure body weight.
Yes. For my team, yes, we seldom do weights because we're not really required to do anything exceeding our weight. So we do a lot of body weight stuff, chin up, pull ups, pullovers, everything. Yeah, so very much body weight.
All right. Now, Hong Chuan, will you say that the balance beam and the uneven bars are too niche because you need a certain skill set and talent to excel in both disciplines?
No, actually not. For all the women artistic, like what they do is once they come on board, they'll train all the 4 apparatus. Somehow they're hooked to it and they'll like it, and they will help from each of the apparatus. They'll actually help them to move forward to another apparatus and develop their part of muscles, and bodies, in all parts of them.
Okay, so you're saying there's no specializations on the spot. I mean, they get to try a whole lot of stuff, and then
what more important is they go through all our national training programs where we have from level system to stage system. So they go stage by stage, so that actually we train them from the fundamental, from the basic, till they actually perform the skills. Yep.
Now, from the sport to the competitions. Now, aside from the Commonwealth Games, which is already over, what's up next for the guys, Hong Chuan?
Of course, they are looking into Asia Game and also World Championship, and I think you heard that lately we also have our junior girl went to Youth Olympic Game as well. So these are some of the major competitions that we have, and on a part of them, they also have this ASEAN school where they will take part, represent Singapore school, to take part in the ASEAN competition at the end of the year for the junior.
Now you mentioned our junior gymnast Nadine Joy Nathan. She performed in the Youth Olympic Games recently, didn't she? Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, she actually did very well. Out of the 42 gymnasts, she went into the final and become the top 18 in the final itself, and she actually achieved the highest ever score that she can achieve throughout her training or competition.
Nice, pretty impressive. Watun, what about you? What's up next after the Commonwealth Games? Actually, it's quite hard to top a bronze medal win, right? I imagine.
Next up is Asian Games. So the level of competition is a lot bigger. So just focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing, and not taking too much.
Not thinking too much, of course, definitely. That applies to a lot of things. well, Daphne, what about you? What's up next for you this year?
After this year, I'll be working towards the SEA Games next year. So that'll be the most major competition for me next year.
Yeah, especially on home soil. I'm sure you've got your friends, your family is gonna
It's gonna be very exciting.
And tense and nerve-wracking, I would imagine.
Of course.
Well, Himwei, what about you? What's up next for you?
For myself, it would be similar to Watun. It would be the Asian Games. So take it one step at a time.
Yeah, you've been repeating that.
One step
at a time.
Yes, really.
Since 12 years old.
Well, we're going for a quick traffic update. When we come back, more on our local gymnasts. Time now for Traffic Watch.
Hey Singapore, this is Haris Harun of the Singapore Lions, and you're listening to the best in sports on 938 Live.
Welcome back to the final stretch of SportsZone as we resume our chat on Singapore gymnastics. Now, let's get straight down to business, starting with the business student in the studio today. Now, Hima, you mentioned you have got the Asian Games, right, coming up next. And who are the main challenges? Who are the main powerhouses you'll be looking forward to facing in Incheon?
Definitely China would be top on the list. We have Japan, South Korea, North Korea, and Uzbekistan with the 40-year-old lady on the team.
So she's from Uzbekistan.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I wonder what she eats and does at 40.
Yeah, it's amazing. So these are some of the traditionally powerhouses in gymnastics in the Asian region. Yeah.
How about the rhythmic gymnastics side of things? I'd imagine China and Uzbekistan even to be one of the powerhouses in rhythmic gymnastics.
In the Asian region, China and Uzbekistan are also very strong, but outside Asia, it's more of the East European countries which are stronger, like Russia and Belarus.
And even Ukraine, I suppose.
Yeah, they have been traditionally very good at rhythmic gymnastics.
Now, okay, World Championships are around the corner as well. When is it exactly, Hong Chuan?
Oh, that will be somewhere in the end of September till beginning of October.
That'll be like the year ender, I presume, for you guys in your work calendar?
Yeah, we are going to send some gymnasts over there and see how it goes.
Is Watu now a Commonwealth Games bronze medalist part of that team going up there? Watu, would you be in the world champs?
I'm not headed for that competition. Leave issues.
Leave issues. Well, oh, that's such a pity. I mean, can't the dentist like give some concessions to you? I mean, it's World Championships. Come on.
We're still working on that. So we'll see.
Well, moving on then. Himwei, just now earlier before the news, I think we were mentioning about how it's one step at a time. You know, retirement is not around the corner for you. But have you even thought about what's next after gymnastics for you? Perhaps coaching, opening your own facility, your own gym, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think at this moment, after the Asian Games, I'm going to focus on graduating from NUS. I've been in school a little bit way too long.
Your whole life, in fact.
25. I'm still doing my undergrad, so that's the first thing on my mind. And after I graduate, I'm actually looking to join probably an MNC. To better understand and learn the ropes of the corporate world, because I haven't had much experience in this area, and I would like to personally experience that myself.
Oh no! From the sounds of that, no coaching over the horizon for you, huh?
Actually, I mean, I would explore coaching on the side, probably like as a hobby, but not so much as a full-time profession. And as for opening my own gym in the future, I think it's a bit premature for me to think about it, because if my plan is to go into an MNC, then that will have to wait, and definitely something for me to ponder over now that you mentioned it. Yeah.
Well, Watun, it's something for her to ponder, opening her own gym. How about you opening your own dentist clinic, your own practice, maybe? I don't know, around the corner.
Right now, we're serving a 4-year bond with the government, so if anything, it'll be after that. So
you're not allowed to say anything about it since you're bonded.
Taking it one step at a time.
The phrase of the day, one step at a time. Well, Daphne, perhaps university is up next, right? Since you're part of the IB program.
IP program. It's actually the integrated program, so I didn't have to take O-levels, and now I'm studying in RIJC.
Raffles Institution, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You have it quite easy. I mean, you don't have to take O-levels. Was it that way for you, Himwei? I mean, you still remember your O-levels, maybe? Those days, those dark days, maybe?
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, I still remember. I went through a slightly different system. During my time, I think IP wasn't too popular yet. So, yeah, I went through the O-level system and slightly different from what Daphne's going through.
Right, now Hong Chong, I'm sure you know some of the challenges that some of our gymnasts face, I mean, with regards to studying and all that. Do you guys fight for them? I mean, do you like appeal to the schools to perhaps release them early for trainings or things like that?
Definitely, I mean, there's always a need. Like for example, even for the MINDEF, for the school, we actually write to the school, actually excuse them for even taking part for the competition. So some of the school very supportive. They even give extra lesson, like what Daphne say, to them privately. So I think that one we appreciate a lot. So that we need school, clubs, association, everybody to work together. So that the gymnasts have proper times for competitions and training.
Now, you guys have done like quite a lot for our gymnasts, right? With regard to taking care of their welfare and all that. But however, in the recent AGM, though, it was revealed that you guys are a bit in the red. Is that true?
Oh, okay. All those are the balance sheets, the accounting, things that we actually look at it. But if you look closely to it, mainly those are due to because of the YOG, where we actually, when the equipment actually pass it to us, it's all depreciation. So that actually constitutes a big part of it. The day-to-day running operating costs, we are in a good health, and I think we are managing well, partly because thanks to the Sports SG, who has been given us tremendous support in all this while.
Now, you mentioned that gymnastics is quite an expensive sport to organize. Is that the case? Because you're talking about equipment costs and all that overheads.
Yep. Yeah, to organize it, it's pretty expensive. Especially you need a venue, you need to reconfigure the apparatus to put it into like FIG standard, and so on. So it's pretty much to that.
All right, now moving on to some of the athletes who used to represent Singapore but are no longer in it. What are like legacy plans for them? I mean, do you guys consciously bring them back as coaches, or do they like disappear from the sport altogether?
No, definitely. What we do is during our national level judging course, we actually welcome them to come back and participate, which some of them actually came back. I'm glad that some of the ex-national gymnasts, actually came back to be level coaching, and they are even FIG coaches. Judges as well.
Yeah, these are accredited internationally, right? Which means they will go to like the Olympics and all that as judges.
Correct. Not only internationally but also locally, where we have another program for the local.
And these guys, they judge the local competitions?
Yes, they judge in national championship and Singapore Open, and actually sometimes they judge in the school competition as well.
Oh, right. Pretty interesting. Now, Hime, do you keep in touch with some of your seniors? I mean, they're seniors, huh? They're the Tay twins, right? Nicole and Tabitha as well. You like keep in touch with the whole lot of them.
Yeah,
meet
definitely.
For Christmas parties, maybe.
Definitely. I'm fortunate enough to know like the current batch all the way up to the older batches who have retired and gone on to the next phase of life, because I've been in the sport for so long. So I do keep in touch with Tabitha and Nicole, and Facebook now is so easy with social media and all, and when they're back for holidays, we do catch up, and Sarah as well. So even the batches before that, I still keep in touch with them.
I can't help but notice the family feel to gymnastics. I mean, you guys are so tight. Was that the first thing that struck you, Daphne, when you first joined gymnastics? The camaraderie, so to speak, like the closeness and all that. Did it strike you at all?
Yeah, I was definitely very, very close with all my teammates, and my closest friends right now are my teammates. So even between the rhythmic and artistic side, we also quite close to each other, especially during competitions like major games where we get to live together and support each other during competitions.
But were there like hazing? Because when you joined, were you being saboed to do something that you weren't supposed to do to initiate yourself into
of course not.
Singapore gymnastics?
When I joined, I was quite young, like when I was 12, so we don't really do that kind of activities.
Watun, you're laughing silently. How about the men's side of things? I mean, any initiation things that went on?
Really, no. No.
Oh, come on.
Nothing. No. For the men's side, we don't really have that big a team compared to the girls, and as well as the rhythmic side. So it's pretty much.
Was it like as tight knit as the girls' side of things?
The guys I trained with growing up, most of them have stopped training. So I'm now with people that I haven't really trained for long periods of time with. So
is that an issue though, Hong Chuang, where past national gymnasts, they disappear from the sport? I mean, that's like a talent pool that's gone forever. I mean, they take away their experiences with them as well.
Oh, there's never a problem because, as I mentioned earlier, we always have program for them. The judges program, the coaches program, and even when we organize competition, they are back to help us, as a volunteers. So we want them to continue to get them in touch in the gymnastics scene. So in future, this is going to be our future to lead Singapore gymnastics to the next level. Okay,
then before we go, perhaps a word from all of you to those who are interested in joining gymnastics. I mean, I'm sure there are parents listening in. They want to ask their kids to join gymnastics. What do you say to them? Let's start with you, Daphne.
I think gymnastics is a very good sport, even if you don't plan to do it competitively, because you can learn like basic coordination, and you can train like hand-eye coordination. So it's good. It's something that's good for everyone to pick up.
Right, and Hime, is artistic gymnastics as dangerous as it looks? You have to balance from a 10 cm wide, platform.
It's not as dangerous as it looks. I mean, there's progression training. I mean, the coaches are professional and they guide us along. So it's definitely not as dangerous as it looks. And I think you gain a lot out of sports, not just gymnastics, any sport in general. The values that we learn are slightly different from what I think most people who don't do sports gain in school from textbooks. These are things that you can't gain from textbooks. And it's the friendship that we foster as well, the relationships. We all train together since young, so it's a different community. Yeah.
And Watun, on the men's side of things, the whole impressive calisthenics mastery, somersaults, you have your everything. What do you say to attract more guys to the sport?
Certainly, as male gymnasts, having a good body is part of the perks, so that should be one of the attractive qualities. But more importantly,
are you trying to put yourself out there in the market or something?
No. But more importantly, after graduating from university, now I think I set an example to show that sports and studies can actually be juggled. So in Singapore especially, most parents are unwilling to put their children in competitive sports, mainly because they fear that it will affect their studies. So I think that's one of the
That's
more
definitely
important
not the case for you guys. I mean, you've got NUS students, you've got an RI student here in the house as well. So it is possible, in fact, to balance training and studies, I'm sure. That's all the time we have for Sports Zone today. A big thanks to our guests today in female gymnasts Lim Him Wei, Daphne Chia, Ho Wah Toon, and together with the Vice President of Singapore Gymnastics, Lee Hong Chuang. Till next time, I'm Noor Farhan. Take care and bye for now.